All right, how you doing, guys and girls? Welcome back to another case study. As you know, we do a lot of these often. This one is going to be a very interesting case study because I can tell you that I've never had anybody, well, I take that back. I've had one student, but he actually wasn't in Hawaii at the time when he did his first deal virtually. So yes, you are the first person. This is the first case study I've ever had of a student in Hawaii doing a deal in Hawaii as well and doing it virtual. So let me go ahead and introduce one of my students, Kehau. How are you doing?
Hi, nice to meet everybody. I'm doing well.
Great, great. So tell us a little bit about what you were doing pre-real estate. Did you have any experience before you got a program?
So, to be honest, I never even really knew what real estate investing was. I was like more interested in flipping. I like to watch HGTV. I just didn't know how to get from like what I wanted to do to where, like, how to get there basically from point A to point B. So that was pretty much it. And I was like researching. I actually went to school to try to be a realtor. And right before I was going to take the test, I was like, I really didn't want to work for somebody else. Like I wanted to work for myself, and I didn't want to have to be under like a broker. And then before I can become a broker, and it was just like, I just pretty much put into perspective, like, yeah, I learned a lot of knowledge, but this is just not what I wanted to do. So then I was like back at square one again, like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm supposed to get to where I want to go again. So yeah, basically I was just pretty much doing a lot of research. Right now I work in a call center
Okay.
for customer service. And when I actually told my family like what I wanted to do, like all of the information that I gained from you, all of the information that I had looked in before, they were like, what? Like, no, that sounds like a scam. Like, don't do that. And they were like so against it. And I didn't even talk about it with them anymore. It was like so crazy. And so I was just like, yeah, no, I really want to do it. And I was like hush hush for a long time. Like when I created my LLC, I didn't tell them about it. And then I actually came into a deal, and it was a virtual deal. It was on a different island. It's before this one. And I didn't feel like I really did. I was trying to fake it till I made it. And I like messed up, and it kind of fell apart. And then I was like, man, I don't know if this is for me, but I took your Craigslist, your training on Craigslist, which is actually really great. Like I built my cash buyers list so much on that. And like, it's crazy. You post an ad and you will have like cash buyers email you within 10 minutes,
Right.
like multiple. So I actually built my cash buyers list that way. And so I started putting out pretty much like those feelers that you put, like those ghost ads, or not kind of like ghost ads, but for cash cows for landlords and all of that. So I did that, and then I just pretty much put bandit signs on Craigslist, and then I had somebody reach out to me, and that's how this deal pretty much came into play. So basically everything that I learned through your training really came all like full circle in this deal, because I utilized Craigslist and then I utilized the virtual. So it really came full circle in closing this deal.
Wow. So let me ask you this. It's funny. One of my friends, we always talk about this. It's like they always say when you want to kill a big dream, share it with a small-minded person, right? And you know, your family, in a sense, were kind of like small-minded. They didn't see the bigger vision and stuff and dream that you had. So this is very like commendable. I would say the thing about it is that I commend you for even like not letting that get into you and stop you, but also in a sense too, like I know it probably was challenging. I'm pretty sure you wanted to share, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh man, I really feel like this is gonna work. And then when they kind of shut that dream down, it's like, man, I can't even talk it to anybody.
Yes, no, that was exactly it. And my family, like, the generational knowledge that gets passed down from like your parents. So like my parents, and they're not super wealthy or anything, but we're doing well, or they're doing well. And basically they came from nothing. Both my mom came from nothing. She didn't have much on her family, and same with my dad. And they made something of themselves, but they had to really put in all of that time. You know, they traded all of this time to get what they have now, and they're still working, and they still, like, luckily with the military they were able to travel, but they still want to do more traveling, but they can't retire. And
Right.
my dad actually is about to come up on a double retirement, and I think he's still going to work after he retires for the second time. And so I'm just like, like, we have to work smarter than this. Like, you guys really should be able to enjoy, like, the time that you guys have. And so I was like trying to explain that to them. And I was like, like, my dream is to really be able to just work for myself and make this money and be able to take care of you guys where you don't have to worry. And they're like, no, you have a really good job. And I'm like, to be honest, I do have one of a higher paying jobs here in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And I'm super grateful for that. But I hate my job. I don't like it at all. And I dread going into work. And so I was telling them, like, this can't be my life. Like, I don't want this to be my life. And so when I was telling them what I wanted to do, they were just like, no, you can't do that. Like, you can't make that much money doing that. And I was like, I know you can make that much money. I've seen all of these people make that much money. And so, I stopped talking to them about it. And then when this deal happened, it was so funny because I wasn't going to tell them until... So, like, it was super fast. This deal actually, when it landed in my lap, it happened at like Monday at 12:30, and I was working that day. So while I was working and between like my calls and my breaks, I was talking to people. I ended up locking in that deal with a cash buyer that night. And then the next morning while I was working and everything, I had a backup. And then it didn't go to official where she was going to pay like the earnest money deposit and 30% of our assignment fee with no refundables until 3:00. But yeah, so it like literally within 24 hours or a little over 24 hours, I was able to close this deal. And I secured the 16K was my part of the assignment fee.
Right.
And honestly, I thought, I was like, okay, if I got 2,000, like I was like, oh, this is like 2,000, I'm fine with that, whatever. But then when it was 16, it was just like so surreal. And so I told my mom and I told my dad, I went over to their house and I was like, you guys asked me how much I invested in this, and nothing has came of it. It's been a couple months. But like, I have this potential to make back everything I invested and more, and that I'm going to just reinvest in my company again to do more deals. And she was like, are you serious? Is this for real? And I was like, yeah, it's for real. And they like started screaming. And then now, like, I talk to them. I'm like, I have a couple other leads going on right now. And so I was like, you know what? Like, once I wanted to try to make at least inside my bank account 2 years of my current salary. And I was just like, I could probably do that within these next couple of deals, the way I provisioned, not provisioned, but the way I positioned everything. So she was just like, yeah, you can quit. And I was like, what the fuck? Oh, sorry, excuse me.
Right. Yeah.
She was like, yeah, you could do this. You could totally quit. And I was like, that's crazy. Because my mom never like that. It's corporate job all the way. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, they believe in me now. Like, I can do this. Like, yeah. So it really just kept this momentum going. So, I mean, it's great. It's great now.
It's dope. Because the thing about it is that, my mom was somewhat similar like that as well too. When I quit my job and went full time, and things weren't going as fast as they should have, but things turned around a few months later. But the thing about it is that our parents, they come from a different generation, right? So it's like they once they see it, they're like, oh, okay, all right, now I believe in her now. She can do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's dope. So how much did you make? For everybody's watching, they're gonna be like, how much did you make on your first deal? How much?
So I closed the deal at 16K. The investor, after we pretty much had everything going with the title company, had pretty much came to me and said, hey, I was working with these other investors. They wanted to partner up on the flip. They were the ones who pretty much went and did the inspection, anything that happened throughout that deal. They were meeting up with the sellers and everything. And he was like, you don't have to do this, but I mean, like, without them, we wouldn't have gotten to where we were. Would you feel comfortable giving anything? So he gave, I think it was like 3,000. And so I told him, I was like, you made more. So he actually made 49,000 on the assignment. Yeah. And so, and then I made the 16. And so I was like, I don't feel comfortable doing the whole 3,000, but, I'll do 1,500. And he was like, you didn't even have to do that, but I'll let them know. So he let them know, and they actually called me personally. And they were saying like, we really appreciate that. Like, we want to be on the top of your cash buyers list. We buy cash, we'll close fast. And then she was saying like, oh, he really raved about you. Like, we have come into properties where we were just too overbooked, but we just struggled through the flips. Whereas like when we really could have just taken whatever we could have gotten an assignment. So she was like, if you don't mind being our personal wholesaler to just wholesale out deals. And I was like, yeah, like definitely, like, of course. So even though I gave up the 1,500, I'm still working with the investor that I did the original deal on another deal right now. And I have the other cash buyers, and they actually just messaged me like 2 days ago just saying, hey, did you come into any properties? And they don't just do on like one island, they actually fly to other islands.
Okay.
And so like I'm working on 4 leads on Oahu. And I was like, yeah, hopefully I'm turning in these leads into, like a contract. And they're like, okay, well, we want to be the first to know. And I was like, dope. Like, it just like really worked into everything. Like, it fell into place. So
Wow.
yeah. So I walked away with 14,500 pretty much. Yeah.
Good. That's a good payday, especially on the first one.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I was so stoked because I thought I was just expecting maybe 2,000. So for that to really play out how it did, I was amazed.
Nice. That's nice. Congrats. So, now that you said like, doing enough deals, now the goal is so that way you can go full time. I absolutely think you'll definitely do that, especially going into 2021. So I'm just proud of you. I'm proud of you that you took that. Because a lot of people, sometimes they get training courses, they don't actually take a lot of action, or they let stuff discourage them and they kind of stop. That's the only reason why they're not successful, is because they let something discourage them and stop.
Yeah. To be honest, so before I bought your course, I did buy another course, but I couldn't like retain the information. It was just like, it was like word vomit. It would just come out all at one time. It was like 1.5 hour videos all at one time. Whereas your videos were short enough where like I can retain the information, I can go do what I need to do, I can come back. Whereas the other training, like I couldn't retain things. And I mean, I still have it, but I honestly haven't even finished it. I didn't finish it, and I just couldn't sit there for 1.5 hours each time and then just be drilled in on like, just all this information. It was just too much for me to actually develop everything into my head and put it to something. So yeah, your training was great. The way it was actually structured, it helped me, gain what I need to do to move to the next video.
Great. All right. So anybody watching this, obviously you guys have saw that she's done, her first deal, 16 grand, end up pocketing 14.5. So what advice would you give anyone that's listening, and would you recommend them getting started with the training?
Just do it, basically. Like, I'm not gonna lie, you're gonna be like worried, you probably will have a lot of anxiety while everything is going on, but you don't really learn, or for me, I didn't really learn until it really came, and it was like in front of me, like, okay, you really got to do this and you got to figure it out. Whereas before, you're kind of just like speculating, okay, so when this happens, then I'll do this. Whereas it doesn't always play out that way anyways. Like with this deal, it almost fell apart actually. And I was like backtracking and like trying to put it back together. And it was nothing that I had expected. I thought it was done deal already. But then I had to, redo, pretty much reassure my buyer, like, you're going to lose out on the 30% you put on an assignment fee. It's going to push out, our seller's not going to be happy. We already advised them. So just to give you like a quick rundown, I wanted to do a double close because the assignment fee was so big.
Right.
But the other investor doesn't like to really do double closes. He likes to do double escrows. So the escrow to the exact seller was $250. and then it was 65 for the second escrow for the assignment. What actually happened though was the buyer wanted to insure the full 315, but couldn't because the property was only really 250, so couldn't insure the 65, and that became a problem. But then where the problem really happened is that the seller, when we advised to them, like, yeah, we can close, you know, by next week this time, he was like, yeah, I need to be out, like I need to help my family. And so he was like, I'm already gonna be out of the property, like I need to go already. And so he just needed the money in, you know, when we had said so. So by retelling, trying to do like a double close, it just pushed everything back. So I pretty much just had to reassure the cash buyer, like, yeah, you know, I understand, but you're saving. That's how I positioned. I was like, you're saving about 7,000 in closing cost. I know it's not the full 65, but you're still getting a good deal. These are the comps, and I just had to reassure to make sure that this deal closed. I mean, I still would have made something because they had put the non-refundable 30%, and me and the other investor had already said, like, no matter what it is, we're still going to split whatever that is. But I wanted the full thing, you know?
Sure.
So yeah, so basically I told him, I was like, you know, if you don't take advantage of this deal, not only do you lose out on this 30%, but I have a backup buyer who's ready to go, and they will take care of this deal, and this will not be, you know, an option for you in the future. So they pretty much was like, oh, okay, well, in the future when I work with you, I want to do a double close. And so I was still surprised they wanted to work with me in the future. So yeah, so that pretty much is how it worked out, but I didn't expect that. It's not something that I expected, you know, it's not something I really read in any of the trainings. So you don't really learn until you really go through the steps, and then you gain so much confidence when you do it. Cause I wasn't confident at all. When I told you my first deal fell apart,
Yeah.
I was like re-questioning if this was really for me. And then, you know, now I feel, not that I'm a rock star or anything, cause I'm just getting started, but I feel so much more confident in calling people, and like even working with these leads. Like I wasn't timid anymore, where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm about to call these people. It was just like, no, you're gonna call these people, you're gonna help these people. This is how, you know how to do it already. So yeah, so it makes you more confident.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, nah, definitely getting that reality check. I tell people, you're gonna feel different about yourself.
Yeah, no, you do. It's so true. You totally do.
Perfect, perfect. So I appreciate, like I said, I want to thank you, you know, for sharing your story on here with everybody. And I know it's going to be inspiring for other people that's out there getting started. And guys, listen, I mean, she did it from Hawaii. Y'all guys have no excuses at all. It's done virtually, $16,000 on the first deal. So once again, congrats. And
Thank
I'm
you.
sure let me know when you quit your job. I want to hear all about it.
I am planning on doing that as soon as possible. So my goal is no later than the end of this year. So if it's this month, I'll let you know.
Perfect, perfect, perfect.